Welcome to Divorcing Strong, the podcast that pulls no punches when it comes to divorce. I'm Becky Sampson, better known as Bulldog Becky Brockovich, and I'm here to give you the straight talk, the strategies, and the subpoena secrets you won't hear anywhere else. With expert guests and proven advice, you'll learn your rights, your options, and gain your power that encourages a fair and equitable outcome. Divorce doesn't have to break you. It can build you. Let's get to it. Welcome, everybody, to the second episode. And we've got a special guest today, Jimbo Marshall. This is going to be a fun podcast because Jimbo I met a couple months ago when I was back east on a business trip. And he is a video marketing expert. And as we started talking, he's had tons of experience around the country working with a lot of top coaches. However, he probably hasn't had an opportunity to really talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is talking about divorcing strong and being able to share each other's stories and what worked, what didn't work, how to stay calm, and how to really navigate this process of divorce. So I want to go ahead and welcome Jimbo to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Becky. I appreciate you asking me. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about divorce.
I know. When we first talked about this, that was probably something that you don't normally talk about in your industry of work. So I appreciate you being willing to come on. You actually teach people how to be on camera and how to present themselves and how to market themselves. But today we're going to really focus on, I want to hear your story about your divorce. Now, I just want to let people know that you are indeed happily married. Is that correct? Okay.
Remarried, happily remarried.
Happily remarried.
Yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of where your story is. Tell me about your story.
So, like I said, I'm a video marketing expert. I'm also in a little online YouTube show called Mr. Deity, where I play Larry, God's assistant. I love acting,
so awesome.
performing, and I don't get to do that as often as I'd like to, but it's still a lot of fun. I born and raised in Texas, in the middle of Texas, and spent 20 years in Southern California. This is where I met my former wife, and I now live in Wilmington, North Carolina. And
so you've been all over the place.
Yeah. I did a couple of years in Miami, and at first I was like, I just want to settle down, but no, I've had great experiences in different unique cities, and it's been a lot of fun just getting to see different parts of the world. And I grew up in a town, when I'm 56, I was born in 68, so the biggest town was Dallas, and you just didn't know anything existed outside of that, really. You know what I mean? Because obviously there was no internet and stuff like that. So yeah, I moved to Southern California in 93 and lived there for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What part was it?
Southern. I moved to San Diego.
Okay.
I lived there for a while, like 7 or 8 years, and then we moved to a place called Temecula, California, which is kind of in between LA and San Diego, a little bit east, though. Yes,
very, very beautiful, beautiful country. Sure.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about so how old were you when you got married?
I was probably, I was 31. I can do the math, actually. I was about to be 31. I married, I was a school teacher at the time. I was in third grade, and I met a woman. She had a 6-year-old, and we ended up getting married. I raised him, I adopted him, and then we had 2 other children, 2 girls who are now 23 and just about 25. So yeah.
Wow. So you had two kids and adopted, a bonus.
Yeah. I mean,
you started with the bonus.
Exactly. He taught me how to be a dad, for sure. It was like instant, right? You got to be on your toes with a 6-year-old boy. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I've had something recently as well. So it takes a lot to those children teach us sometimes more than we teach them.
Yes, believe me.
For sure. So
Yeah.
how was it? So you got married, adopted the child, had the two more children, and
Mhm.
at what point did you? I mean, at what point did you know that it was kind of ending? The relationship was ending.
Yeah, easily within the first 5 to 6 years.
Mm,
I wasn't happy. I don't think she was happy. I think
yeah,
struggled with communication as a
yeah, it's
lot
a big
of
one.
relationships do. I you know, I held on for another 10, 11, 12 years, 17 years we were married.
Hmm.
Just, like so many people, you just don't
Yeah,
get divorced. You don't wanna admit that it's a failed thing. That's what the way I was seeing it. I don't look at it
right.
like that now. It's
Me too. I don't see it as a fail, but yes,
part of the journey. It's,
yeah,
what happened, and hopefully, um, I wish her the best, and, I've got a great life now. I've got a wonderful wife, and everything that I learned what I wanted in a relationship, I was finally able to communicate it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
what I didn't realize is that you don't fall far from a tree, right? So I'm doing the patterns of what I saw my parents do.
Hmm.
She's doing the patterns that she learned, right?
Hmm.
Through counseling and everything else. We just couldn't get it right. And then, as life often happens, our youngest daughter at 2 was diagnosed with leukemia. So that
Oh wow.
really threw a wrench into the whole thing. Yeah, she's fine today, but I don't recommend childhood cancer for anyone, right?
No. Well, and that's I mean, any kind of stress
Mhm.
it's difficult for difficult for a relationship to deal with.
Yeah,
I
of course.
know many years I've met people that have had death with their children or illness or
Yeah.
job loss or whatever it is that causes the stress within your marriage. But yeah, that could definitely be one.
Yeah, it took a toll on it for sure.
Mhm.
And then the her sister ended up with diabetes when she was 12. So that was just another thing. And then,
Mm.
we definitely made some financial mistakes along the way and ended up
Mhm.
home, and that just compounded everything. And
Mm.
it was just, one of those situations where for me, I look back, I mean, wish I could have done things a little differently, of course, right? And I'm sure
What do you wish you would have done differently?
just better communication, 100%
Yeah.
better communication. Like, like really, like that's it all comes down to just being honest with what you want. And,
Right.
if I'm being totally honest, I was just petrified that, I wasn't going to get it, right? I was petrified
Mm.
that, if we got into an argument and neither one of us had, the skills to not let the argument get out of control, it
Mm.
it was gonna get out of control. So I would retreat, enter and just be like, it's not worth it, right? So
It's
and
funny is I actually I don't think you even know this, but I got my degree in conflict resolution.
ah,
And so it was and while I was going through my second horrendous divorce, right?
yeah,
But it's interesting in conflict resolution, I really have thought a lot about this over the years is that divorce happens because we don't have the tools that
yeah,
we need that are necessary in order to work through that conflict. So we end up going to an avoidance. Avoidance is like the number one thing that most people do, thinking if I just avoid, it will get better or it will go away.
king
Now,
avoidance here. King
right?
of all the avoidance.
Yes. Well, you and the rest of the planet, right? We
Yeah.
avoid. It makes it very, very difficult. So yeah, it's um and some people can even recognize even through a divorce, they're avoiding certain things as well. So at what point did you kind of know, okay, did both of you guys know at the same time that it was over?
No, I mean, we threatened each other with it probably starting at
Mm,
around year 7, and for 10
mm,
years, it would come up and die back down and come up and die back
yeah.
down. Going to counseling and everything, and it just for me, I specifically remember I I was at a work event. I came home from work. Our youngest daughter at the
Mhm.
time was in middle school, 7th grade.
Mm.
And my ex asked me to go up and talk to her that she was having problems with her boyfriend. It was her first boyfriend.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so I went up and I start, talking. Speaking of, not falling far from a tree, my dad could,
Yeah.
and so I'm giving this big, profound talk. And all of a sudden, and I'm telling her, you do this and you've got to
Yeah.
this and that. And I realized like, I'm not doing any of that. And
Mm.
I had this moment right after I left her bedroom where I was like, I gotta go. I gotta take action on this because I knew my ex wasn't going to go through with anything.
Mm.
Even though I was scared to death, I just had this moment where I was like, I would never want my kids to be in a marriage like that. I would want them to try to work things out and
Yeah.
give it the effort that, we did. But at a certain point, you've just got one life. And
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
and you bring up a really good point that I mean, that you were telling your child something, and
Mhm.
in that advice to them, you were like, "Wait a minute, like, I'm not living this. I'm not." And did your kids even have any clue, an
Oh,
idea that
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, kids are so smart. We know this, right?
yeah.
They don't miss anything in the household, right? You
Mm.
can feel the, hateful energy in the house at times, right?
Mhm,
Again,
mhm,
it's not just
unfortunately.
her, you know what I mean? Everybody's got a part to play in it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, even in the beginning, the girls were like, I'm surprised you guys lasted this long. They were like
Mm.
making these comments where it was like, we've seen this,
Yeah.
right? And so that's even heartbreaking. Even thinking about that now, it's like even, heartbreaking. But, life is a journey, it's a trial, and you get to wake up every day and choose something different if you don't like where you're at, right? So
Well, and people don't really, I mean, kids are very, very intuitive. They
mm,
also, I know a lot of people stay together because they think it's going to be better for the children, and the children
yeah.
do. I mean, and again, I'm really, I don't know, Jimbo, I'm not for divorce. Like, I'm not a real supporter
Yeah.
of divorce. However, it does happen.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, like, you need to be ready in
Yeah.
order to prepare yourself for that. Right.
Yeah. And I think, again, going back to the thing, you don't fall far from a tree. And if you
Hmm.
don't, you can get to adulthood and stop growing.
Mhm.
And if you
It's true.
don't, if, I was at a place where I was like seeing things a little differently. And from what I perceived, that was causing, some conflict, right?
Right.
And creating some, probably some insecurities and everything else, which is understandable.
Mhm.
And for me, again, it just came back to this idea of like, well, I'm teaching them how to be in a relationship by this
Mhm.
example. I cannot continue to do this.
Right.
Cannot continue to do this. And I would rather, and I did face, the wrath of a lot, right, by making that choice, right?
So
But
did you did how and how did you go through that process? What was your first, like, okay,
yeah,
so you've made a decision that was like, "Oh my gosh, that's I know what I need to do." What did you do?
the next day I woke up and hired an attorney.
Mm.
Like I literally went into an attorney's office just crying. And I was like, just take
As
my
most of us do.
had no idea what I was doing.
Wow.
And yeah, that was my action step to because I was like, what else is it's going to our relationship was not going to be one that was amicable and going, all right, here, you take this part and I'll take this part and you
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I did.
So did she know that you were meeting with the attorney, or did you guys discuss
No,
that
no,
since you had a communication issue?
exactly. I was, for a while, I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this action. And then about a month or so later,
Mhm.
wanted to, work it out and stuff. But I just knew, like, I just was like, I can't go backwards at this point. We're not going to change
Yeah.
the way that I want. And I'm not saying my way is the right way, right? I'm not trying to come on here and go, oh, I'm this and I did nothing,
Right.
because I definitely had my part in all of it. But
Mhm.
I just knew, I was confident in the fact that we weren't going to be able to fix it. We had gone to counseling, we had tried all the things, and I was done. When I make up my mind like that, I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna move
Well,
on.
and sometimes people are a little taken back by that sometimes because they're not ready for that decision to be made
He was not.
yet. The what? Sorry?
She was not.
Yeah. So yeah, and so that's what's interesting is looking back now, it's been many years, right? Like how many years has it been
Yeah.
since you got divorced?
Yeah, that was 2014, is when it
Okay.
started. It didn't get over until 2016, so almost 10 years since
So
the official
looking back,
thing.
yeah, so it wasn't too long ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back, what would you have done differently and what worked, what didn't work for you?
What I would have done differently, one, I would have learned, um, how to hire an attorney. That's for
Yep.
because I didn't know, like, attorneys specialized in things, and a lot of
Mhm.
they can't say I specialize or whatever. But, right, there's some law firms where it's like, "We do car wrecks and divorce and DUIs and,
Right.
hurt at work, we got you." Um, so I would definitely hire a family law attorney.
Mhm.
I definitely would have, because that would have changed a lot of my experience, I believe. I would have been more patient,
Mm.
the process. It's
In
gonna
what way?
well, I I agreed to things that I wish I would not have agreed to, just because I wanted to get out of it. Like, I was just like, "Take my soul, take whatever you need and want." Right? And whatever is gonna make me feel punished is the way I felt at the time. Um,
Well, I think a lot of people feel I was talking to a gal locally here that was the same thing. She 2 years into a divorce. It's absolutely insane, and she just
but
wanted the pain to be done. But I'm
mhm,
like, "You've got kids to consider. You've
yep,
got a future to consider. You've got I know you want the pain to end. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
And let's make sure you have all the information." That's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this podcast is so
yeah,
that you have all the information to be able to go, okay, I don't want to be 2 years down the road or 4 years down the road, 10 years down the road and go, gosh, I wish I would have done this,
yeah.
you know?
I have some of those regrets. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I was like, "Hey, I'll tell this story," because, if one person heard it and just took a beat and slowed down a bit, it would
Yeah.
be worth it, right? So, yeah, I wish I would have I wish I would have done those things differently. I I I could have been a better dad at some points for sure.
Mm.
Um,
Tell us more about that. What do you mean?
well, I mean, just it's you would I move out of the house and you wake up and it's like 3 weeks have gone by and I haven't seen the kids, right?
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
definitely not proud of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also like just trying to pay for everything that, I'm about to be paying for, right? Because she didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whole nother thing where it was like, oh my gosh, right? Didn't have a prenup. So this was another thing that I'd be like, oh,
Mm.
I get it. Prenups, it sounds ugly, but the truth is, if you are in love, you will respect yourself and them and agree
Right.
that should things go south, which you never know what happens in life, that you both had made rational choices. Anyways, I think, you know, I probably let my role as their father become a little bit more passive than it should have been. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had definitely the younger one ended up living with me and that was great and everything, but I'm still looking back and going, I probably should have been a little bit stricter and probably not I didn't share everything, but I probably shared too much at times where I was like, and I wasn't looking for her advice, but there were certain moments where I was just wanting to say, like, this is not all me. Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's, if you are going through something that is non-amicable, let's say,
Hmm.
it's hard to not defend yourself. And she, I'm sure, felt the same way. Again, not trying to say whatever,
Right.
that it's just me or her.
I
So
would also say give yourself some grace, right?
yeah,
Like
100%.
people going through a divorce, I mean, it's like you've just got run over
Yeah.
by a truck 10 times over and you're like trying to still breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have kids, you're trying to navigate the kids and then the kids
Yeah.
with the spouse that
Mhm.
so I would say give ourselves some grace and take a breather. I love that you said that you kind of moved quickly through it and then you kind of froze, which is
Yeah,
very common.
100,
Um, and it
100%.
is one of the things that I tell people to do is to before you make an irrational decision, get a group of people, support team around you to be able to say, hey, slow down, go
Yeah,
faster, make a decision, do this. People that actually have been through it before or can give you a stable
yeah,
place to land. So it's not on your kids, but you can still process with somebody. Sounds
yeah.
like you were trying to navigate that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, just trying to, keep money coming in,
Yep.
right? Like not
Yep.
let it affect my work, which it's hard to not let it affect your work, but it definitely
Mm-hmm.
took its toll on everything, right? And I mean, going back to just this whole grace idea, it's just like the guilt and the feeling like, my
Mm-hmm.
parents didn't, I mean, there's a whole nother thing. My parents didn't talk to me for like 3 years. Um,
Wow.
and I knew that was going to be a possibility. I come from, they were very religious. My parents have both passed.
Right.
And we, made amends and all that kind of stuff. But they were just convinced it looked like I did all this, right?
Mm.
Just me. And they later, came to understand that it always takes two, right? That there's never, it's going to be very hard to find a situation where it's just the one person, right? It's always
Which
going
I
to,
think another thing for people to remember is that oftentimes during the divorce, everybody kind of goes their own ways and decides who to they all have their own opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion about your divorce.
yes.
And we often think that that is a permanent
Yeah.
state. But I think when the dust settles,
Hmm.
I often tell people when the dust settles, people start kind of seeing the real truth. Just
Yeah.
keep doing the right thing for the right reason and head in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I kept trying to do. Right.
Yeah.
And fortunately, like I said, it all turned out, my parents and I
Yeah.
did reconcile and all that good stuff. So I'm super thankful for that.
Hmm.
But again, these are just the collateral damages that I knew there was going to be some fallout. I
Yeah.
100% knew. I probably didn't anticipate how intense it was going to be,
Yeah.
but I knew there was going to be some fallout. But I just kept telling myself, when these girls are in their 20s and 30s, when they're in their 20s now,
Yep.
um, and my son, like they will have known the reason I did this is because I did not want them to witness this, and I did
Mm.
not want them to experience, because again, we tend to repeat what
Mhm.
we've lived, right? Unless we are just hyper diligent and aware that, like, hey, I don't want to make this choice.
Yeah.
Went on with my parents or that went on with whoever, right? So
Right.
yeah, it was rough, but in the end, it had to be done.
And how old were your kids when they were going through the divorce? Because I mean, everybody,
Yeah,
sometimes they're little, but
the worst age they could be. They were 13 and 14.
oh, see, well, I mean, that's a very influential
Yes.
age.
Yes, believe me. Yeah. So yeah, my girls are 13 months apart. I'm so blessed to have these two wonderful young ladies in my life, and my son in my life, of course, and he's married now, and so I've got a
Mm.
daughter and everything. That's great. um but yeah, you couldn't probably pick a worse time.
I
Again, I just was like, okay, like I'm not gonna wait
Yeah.
this out. till they move out of the house. Like, I
Yeah.
need to know that, whenever, if they're in this situation, it's okay to say, look, I'm done and I'm moving on. Right.
Mhm.
That's basically what happened. Yeah.
And so what kind of advice would you give somebody that has teenagers that are going through, like, whether it's something that you did or something you wish you would have done with them?
Yeah. Don't have children. That's my first advice. I'm only kind of kidding.
I
Uh,
didn't have kids, but I
yeah.
that wasn't my fault.
I do have this
That's
running joke that they're highly overrated. It's such a gamble, right? Like,
oh,
you're gambling on this individual to grow up and be responsible. So I've been very blessed that mine are figuring it out. So
yeah.
I think, the advice I would give is you just got to be patient. Like, I knew with
Mm,
my older daughter in particular, um, she basically cut me out for a long time. Like, she was
mm.
not having anything to do with
She
me.
was processing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And and I think the younger one was just seeing a situation where it's like, I'm going to go live with him and I can have a little bit more freedom. I don't know if she would admit to that today, but um,
yeah,
so my number one advice is just to say, be patient. They'll come back. You keep doing the right things. You keep showing up even when they aren't, and it will / should work out. And that's been the case for me. Like, I just kept
yeah,
consistent. I made a lot of mistakes along the way with trying to parent them and stuff,
yeah,
but I was just always honest with them. And I would always tell them, like, hey, I'm going to be here. Like, you can not talk to me, but I'm going to keep checking on you. I'm going
yeah,
to keep doing these things. Um, and my hope and my plan is that one day you will, see that, I wasn't just a terrible person that, wanted to break up a family. I was, a father and a husband that knew he was in a situation that was not working, and he wasn't
mhm.
going to continue that example for his children.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the fact that you said to be patient because it is very hard when you're going through it to
Mhm.
see the end game of ever thinking, "Oh my gosh, my kid's ever going
It is.
to talk to me again, or are they ever going to trust me again?"
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you said that you're honest with them
Mhm.
because when you're honest with them, I mean, I'm a big believer that the more honest you are with your kids saying, "Look, I'm not perfect. I
Yeah.
don't I don't have all the right answers. I don't I don't even know how to navigate what I'm going through right now."
Right.
And so I'm reaching out for help and I may seem distant, and I may seem edgy at times and I may be emotional sometimes and all of those kind of things. I want you to know, I love that you said that is I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to reach out to you. I'm
Yep.
always going to be a safe place for you to come to. And I'm processing. I realize that you're processing too.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
This is your life too. And, that you didn't intentionally, because that is the one thing that's very difficult to hear story after story after story. This is a very heavy space, just so
Yeah.
you know. It's, I, however, I have to say that I do believe in resolution at some point. I do believe that there is humanity that once the dust settles, that we do see the humanity of both sides, you
Yeah.
know. And even while you're going through a divorce, that was the other podcast I did the other day. We talked a lot about that, is seeing the other person as a real person who's hurting on the other side, even though we may be in contention, um, to stay in a good, healthy space towards them
Yeah.
for your kids, even. That's
Yeah.
probably like the most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
And be graceful towards yourself.
Yes.
So, kind of as we're wrapping up and things, any last wisdom, any last thoughts of things like, I wish I would have done this differently, or this
I
is
mean,
what worked for me.
I think if you're watching or listening, there's probably a reason.
Hmm.
I would say, I'm not trying to say, like, hey, do something right away, but your life, you can go to sleep and 10 years are gone, right?
Hmm.
I will quote a Pink Floyd lyric, "Ticking away the moments that make up the dog day," right? And there's a
Mm,
line in that song that says, you look up and essentially it says you look up and 10 years have gone by and you didn't even hear the starting gun, right? So it's called
yeah.
Time. It's
Oh
an
man.
amazing song. But I would say, if you find yourself listening to this, get educated
Hmm.
on your state's laws, because I have found that the laws are, specifically in the southern states, they do not favor men. They do,
Mm,
I mean, there's a situation where it's like you pay alimony and child support, and you cannot get out of alimony without hiring an attorney. Like there's no way to show. I mean, so there's things
in
that
the
are,
southern states, you said?
yeah, in the southern states. So there's things that are so crazy
Yeah.
that you just don't know what you don't know, right? So it's not like you have to do anything um now, but if you're listening, watching, there's a reason. So
Yeah.
just get yourself educated, and don't be like me where you just act super fast and you're like, I just want the pain to go away and I want them to get back to their normal life, right? Because it will never be normal,
Right.
or what was normal. It'll never be that way again. So I think just really taking the time to get educated and choosing an attorney that, because attorneys are intimidating, right? Like it's like, ugh. Um,
Well, and they're busy, and that's another thing that I really tell people all the time. I'm like, you've
yeah,
got to. I'm actually, a gal reached out to me the other day. I talked to her before she hired an attorney. She then went to an attorney, and she came back, and I was just following up with her. I called her out and I said, "Hey, how are things going?" She goes, "Well, this attorney still told me this," and I'm like, you might want to go and research that.
yeah,
I'm not an attorney. I can't give you advice, but you
yeah.
might want to research that because these attorneys are really busy, especially family law, and
Mhm.
they don't have the time to educate you. And so
Yeah,
you need to advocate for yourself, even if
exactly.
you have an attorney.
And they're not your therapist, so
No, no, and they don't even want to listen to that.
no, no.
That's not
This
what
is their
they're there for.
Right. Yeah, this is their job. So you want
Yeah.
somebody with that experience that you can relate to,
Mhm.
and that is going to lead you in the right direction. So that's what I would.
Absolutely, because it will make or break at the end of everything. I mean,
100%.
I'll tell you one more story real quick. That there's another attorney that I reached out to it's going to be on the podcast, and this guy reached out, and I mean, one minute he had 50% custody of his children, and something happened in the legal system, and he lost all custody of his kids. And so
It's-
this guy's now coming in trying to get him back. That you just don't want. You want to do the best that you can to educate yourself, and that's another reason why I'm doing this podcast, is because attorneys will be on here, people's experiences, and like you said, especially if they're a male, there's a lot of states that do favor the female, and I'm for you can
Yeah,
be disadvantaged on both sides.
yeah,
So
of course, of course.
yeah, yeah, but there is beautiful life after divorce. So that's one
Right.
thing I want.
So, I mean, oh my
Yeah,
God, I wouldn't trade it for anything at this point. Like this,
yeah,
yeah, I have the love of my life, and great communication, and it's amazing. So yes, don't give
yeah.
up.
I agree. I appreciate you sharing that because I
Yeah,
never thought a million years that I'd be married again, and I'm married to the most amazing guy, and it's through all of that pain, and you don't think that I mean, we don't see that, right? When we're
yeah.
going through it. But there is life after divorce, so we want you to hang in there. So thank you so much, Jimbo, for taking time out of your life to talk about something that's difficult, and
Yes,
and really your honesty for saying, "Hey, I wasn't perfect, and I
no,
did the best that I can."
nobody is.
Uh,
Nobody's perfect. Go on.
no, I love it. The little 7-year-old granddaughter told us the other day, Becky, "I'm not perfect. You're not perfect."
There you go.
It was just really cute.
All
So,
right.
anyway, well, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you guys for checking in with us today. And we hope that you make wise decisions, get educated, be honest, and know that you're not alone. Thanks for checking in. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Divorcing Strong podcast. This episode is sponsored by Only Subpoenas, where we make subpoenas simple, powerful, and 100% compliant. If you're having a hard time getting the information you need to settle for a fair and equitable divorce, let us help you. Whether you're an attorney or you're navigating divorce on your own, subpoenas can uncover the truth, secure the evidence you need, and level the playing field. To see how we can help, book an appointment by visiting our website at onlysubpoenas.com.